I think he is just an attention-seeking whore of a person.
I thought you didn't hate Kanye.
I don't hate Kanye. I'm being honest.
I can't tell.
He don't hate black people, but he claimed he was being honest. So I don't hate him, and I'm being honest. You can't just say slavery is a choice and just leave it at that and think that you're not going to cause a problem. Okay, let's be clear about something, okay? Not everybody who came across them oceans, right, is in them oceans because they chose to be in them oceans. Now, here's where I'm going to get real spicy, okay? That movie Amistad, about those quote unquote people that was taken into slavery and they overtook the ship and they were trying to navigate back, but they weren't navigators. So they didn't know. And they just ended up in a place where they were trying not to go. Okay. Most people, and I'm going to say most, didn't jump off them ships. They were tied to rocks and they were killed. That wasn't their choice. You understand? Furthermore, Kanye, he was working by choice, doing what he was doing, and he was making his little beats, whatever the case may be, and he got inducted inside of a Jewish system that he could have chose not to be in, but he chose to be in it. You see what I'm saying? Because he really probably felt like he didn't have a choice. That was his best option. That was his best choice. You see what I'm saying? And then when he got enough money and influence, then he started talking about choices suddenly. But strangely, he don't really even have the choices he think he has, even with the money he has, because he's made it very clear. Even when you in a suit, you still a nigga. So what he's also saying is when you think you're free here, it is an illusion. You are not free. So to your point that what he's really trying to do is motivate you to say that you can do anything you want. You can do anything you want within the parameters of the enslavement that's been dictated for you. So when we say slavery is a choice, there is choices within slavery. There is no choice to be a slave or not be a slave. When we really get down to the brass tacks of it all, whatever land soil you in, there's rules there. And if you're going to be there, you're going to be enslaved to them rules by choice. Now, if you choose not to, you are choosing to be exited in some way, shape, form, or fashion, okay? So you don't have no choice. Either you're going to get down or you're going to get put down. There's no choice here. Black people in this country know that we don't run it here. We 13% at best of the population. We shouldn't realistically be doing anything in more than 13% of anything because we only 13%. We know that. But what we want and what we've been fighting for is the opportunity to say, you know what, we will do this on our own. That's how Tulsa got started. That's how Greenwood got started. That's why all these cities, and it's more than them, got started. Because we understand that, hey, the choice is either you continue dealing with what you're dealing with there or you make your own. We made our own. But guess what? There's a system that's in place. And yeah, it kind of took over. So right now, you can't just say, listen, we want 2 states because we want to do it on our own. You will die first. You can say you want that as a choice, but that choice don't really exist outside your mind. And I don't think African Americans are out here beating a dead horse about, we just want to be free, fuck the slavery system. No, we slaves. No, we're saying, listen, we want the same choice that everybody else got. And I think that's quite frankly fair. We're not trying to get revenge. We're saying, look, we want what everybody else has the choice of having. When it comes to the slavery that he's really talking about, going to your 9 to 5 or staying in your home, right? We want the choice to do that. We don't want to be overtaxed because we are going to a job versus our counterparts. That's our choice, just like it's their choice. Why are we being treated different for the same choice? If my wife stay at home, I shouldn't get less money when I claim her on my taxes because of where we live at. Like, come on now. Like when I make the same money as my counterpart and he got a wife too, we're not asking for anything we're not supposed to ask for. And I think for the purpose of respect is if you're not in the right place to say a thing with the right audience that understands the thing, don't say that shit. It's best for you to keep a wise word silent if it's going to cause catastrophe than for you to sit and say something that you think is profound and it sit and cause havoc. I'm not negating what you're saying as far as like the truth. which is, yes, choices are around. They are. But if we want to sit and get real into it, yeah, not really. Like your children got choices in your house. They can, if you say, listen, you can choose to wash the floor, get the cobwebs down, dust, do the dishes, or clean out the backyard. They got choices. I mean, they're not stifled. They got choices depending on what they feel like doing. They got choices. But above a certain level, they don't have no damn choice. Unless they can create a system on their own, which we know is virtually impossible. Under the circumstances, virtually impossible. So not going to sit and act like what Kanye did wasn't premeditated. I think he meant to say that before he even got up there. I think he meant to cause a conversation so he could get attention. I think he is just an attention-seeking whore of a person.
I thought you didn't hate Kanye.
I don't hate Kanye. I'm being honest.
I can't tell.
He don't hate black people, but he claimed he was being honest. So I don't hate him, and I'm being honest. If he wants to educate black people, saying that we got a choice isn't educating us. We all know we got a choice. Our complaint is not we don't have enough choices. Our complaint is when we do choose the different thing, right? We get penalized. That's what that is. We get penalized. If you choose not to put your children in the education system and you don't choose the other system that they have set up based on their books, they will come lock your ass up and physically take away your choices. And it's just when your children go to school. So when you say slavery is a choice, what choice you got at this point? If what you want to do is educate us, help us get to a point where we're not singled out for no reason. That right there. You understand? I think everybody who's ever committed a crime know I had a choice to commit a crime, but they don't got a choice in the fact that they're going to get 40 years for something one of their counterparts is going to get 7 for. They don't have a choice in that. And that's all we ever asked for. So it's like, I don't want to hear no shit from Kanye about slavery. He don't understand slavery. He understands what he think is slavery. He is a celebrity, and he's been a celebrity since he's been what, like in his 20s or so. He don't understand slavery. He understands what he has learned. Like you said, we learned some shit about, something that happened about 400-500 years ago. Like we learned, but we never been in that actual chattel slavery circumstance unless you've been to jail. Now, if you've been to jail, to a degree, you know what chattel slavery is, because at least you get paid $1 or $2 a day in jail as a quote unquote slave. My ancestors didn't get paid shit. So it's like, this is why no matter how you formulate this defense of this of this crazy dude, okay, your defense of him will always smell like guilt, because he is guilty of treason. And to your point about, we should think about the fact that he's been down for black people. No. If I'm always cognizant that just because somebody says black queens and we used to be kings and that they can't suddenly be some other shit, because truth is they were never on it like that. It was a matter of getting money from people at the moment. Say that shit when there's no money involved, then I'll believe you. Stand up in front of a white crowd like Malcolm did and say to their face what they truly are and what you truly are, and it not be about you getting money. And then I'll believe that you on it. If Malcolm X would have said slavery was a choice, I would have had enough patience to wait for an interview next to hear what he got to say. If he said it. But Kanye, the nigga married to the white bitch, the nigga that feel like he don't fuck with. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, what you said is correct. For Malcolm X, Medgar Evers, you see what I'm saying? Yeah, for them people like that, sure. Not Kanye. No, you're gonna have to breathe easy, fall back with that. Okay, I don't care what you call him or them. Fall back, okay, bro. Fall back. Okay, your defense needs some defense right now.
That's cute. No, anybody who ain't ever tasted good food might have thought you was cooking. But the reality of the situation is this. If you knew Malcolm X before he was enlightened, when he was Detroit Red, slanging dope and pimping on bitches, I don't think he'd have had the same level of patience, my black queen.
He earned it.
So the reality is, what moment have I found this man in? Because context matters, timing matters. Kanye got with his quote unquote white bitch, if we just calling everybody who ain't black white, but shout out to all of the black queens who think that every woman who didn't come from that situation is a white bitch. Shout out to all of them. The reality is, Kanye, like our dear brother Kendrick Lamar, like our dear brother young Kodak Black, like our dear brother young Waka Flocka, in spite of their ghetto names, their recent induction or introduction into the knowledge, aka the light, aka the truth, aka the alpha and the omega. Yeah, when you become enlightened, yeah, your mind tends to change, your approach tends to change, your rhetoric tends to change, and it should make you stand out. Because if you still fitting in, I mean, you faking the funk. You ain't fucking with us for real. And the reality is, holiness means to be separate. The light cannot exist inside of the dark. The dark cannot exist inside of the light. They are counter. It should be repugnant, repudiated. It should need to sit aside from what you are accepting as the status quo. Niggas should want to cancel you because you would be persecuted for my name's sake. It's par for the course. You ain't hurt Kanye West's feelings. They try their best to cancel that nigga. That nigga said, nigga, I'm gonna say what I want to say, and Adidas ain't gonna do a motherfucking thing. And Adidas said, shit, me. And they said, oh, Kanye West was had like $2 billion, one of the highest paid black men in America, and now he just lost all his money and he ain't got but like 400 million. I just looked the other day, said Kanye West back on the Forbes list, over 2 billion, doing it his way, still saying fuck you to everybody who think they can tell him what to do. So as far as I'm concerned, he's showing an improvement. Now, what you were saying is, to some degree, he's not educating by saying these statements. The reality is that everything that's said is not meant to educate. Sometimes it's just meant to inform. Sometimes it's meant to scold. Sometimes it's meant to motivate, incite, degrade, reprimand. Speech is not quarantined to any specific purpose. That's why it's freedom of speech. What I say does not have to uplift you. Just because I'm black and I'm find myself in front of a camera, I don't got to say no positive shit about niggas. Now, niggas may feel like I owe some amount of debt that every time that I speak about them, that what I say should not embarrass them. But the thing about guilt and embarrassment is those are things you feel when they true. You don't really feel guilty or embarrassed about no lie about you. You feel a way when somebody hits you. Hit dogs the ones that be doing all that goddamn hollering. So the reality is that in spite of his intentions, because we don't know his intentions, it's impossible for you to know. Nobody asked him. Is that you would give the brother Malcolm an opportunity to explain a second interview, like, hey, somebody find out what he meant by that. Because I know him to be a better man than how that came across. I know his intentions to be greater than how that hit me. Let me give him a chance to explain it, because it's got to be a more profound meaning behind what he said. You won't give your same brother. Now we're talking about equality, right? Because you put a law-abiding black man in the same boat as a criminal black man, because you get more time for selling crack than a white boy would. Because that's all we want as niggas, right? It's equality, right? We just want to go to jail for the same amount of time as a white boy go to jail for, right? And that'll make us feel better, right? the reality is you're not looking for equality. You're looking for freedom. You see, freedom can exist anywhere because based on what you're saying, money can't make you free. You can be $1 million slave. You can be a $1 million nigga and can't get shit done. You can be $1 million nigga and can't spend it the way you want to spend it. So the reality, not the perceived reality, but the actual reality is that freedom, which is the antithesis of slavery, is the only thing that you can't find in America based on what you're saying. Because you can't escape this situation based on economics. So the reality is that whether you in a white man's dungeon, aka a prison, or if you in a $1 million mansion that you earn with your own merit, you still ain't free. But here's the thing. A nigga can be in the same bottom of that white man dungeon and be as free as you ever gonna be. And a nigga can be in that $1 million mansion and more of a slave than you ever been. Working your 9 to 5 fucking job, 40 and 80 hours a goddamn week. Slavery is in your fucking mind. You can be in a cage and be free. Slavery is our choice. You can be a whole chattel slave and be free in your motherfucking mind. It's the only place freedom exists. But nobody took the time to ask, what the fuck do you mean, home? Because we too busy being slaves to our fucking emotions. That's the slavery. You're a slave to your emotions. Every time a motherfucker say black, your ears perk up like that's your motherfucking name. What you got to say about black people? You ain't black people, you. You don't want a motherfucker to identify. You want equality, but you want to identify with a color. Not a race, a color.
Wait,
your identity is tied into your emotion about how you feel about a set of people who you never met.
Okay, I'm a little confused by what you're saying. Your emotions is tied into it, into something. The only thing that we're talking about is whether or not it was a intelligent thing to do to say such an incendiary thing without any context in front of a white audience as a black man. That's what the issue is. The issue is not who died, who was a slave, who wasn't. I'm not arguing I actually am a wiser person than to argue something that doesn't need to be argued or let's say parceled out. I'm having a conversation simply because it was a statement that was said in jest, in my opinion, that spurred, so let's say it kind of spiraled out of control. And now it, to a degree, is still affecting him because he didn't use any level of intellect as far as like what he was saying, who he was saying it to, and why he was saying it. And that right there is the antithesis to why we even differentiate manhood from boyhood. Period. And so I don't have to a degree, sit and identify with anything to say, listen, when you say slavery, that doesn't pertain to one group of people. However, if you understand the differences in slavery over time, the differences in the psychological aspect of slavery, you can't just say slavery is a choice and just leave it at that and think that you're not going to call. Now, the fact that I said, well, Malcolm, because Malcolm had earned my respect, because he has sat there and made statements that about how he felt about the circumstance as affecting his people without it being a money grab. You can't sit and come back on that at all. The money grab is the issue. If you can say black people are queens and kings and George Bush ain't shit, and you not getting any money back for that, I can respect that. That's your opinion. But when you getting paid to say that shit, nah, I'm not taking that from you at face value. No, I'm not. And there is no, well, Malcolm wasn't always Malcolm. I know that. I said he earned it. He sat in front of people and made that statement without earning shit to say it. So it's like I'm not in my emotions or feelings, or anyone isn't in their emotions or feelings to say, hey, if you want to be disrespectful on your own network. Do that. Don't be on somebody else's network owned and operated by Jews and talk shit about Jews. I know better than to sit and talk shit about them on their shit, and it's because of them and that bullshit that I'm getting my shit. Like, come on now. Stop it. Stop it. And at the end of the day, if we're going to sit and say just simply slavery is what you think, it ain't what you're doing, it ain't your choices, it's just what you think within whatever you're doing, then that is the beginning of the end. If I'm a billionaire that I need almost virtually free laborers, right? If I can convince them that they're free in their mind, but they still have to eat, I got a free labor force because they free in their mind. As long as they think they free, we good. As long as they think they free, we're good. But see, this is what I'm saying. At the end of the day, I personally, and I'm not saying this about anyone else, I personally don't see where freedom is real. Like freedom is the bounds in which you imagine it. That isn't real because now it has boundaries. You're not free to do what the fuck ever in physics. You're not free to do what the fuck ever in civilization. The word civilization should let you know that there is a level where freedom does not exist because we have civilization. No, you can't just get back at somebody that you're mad at because you just don't feel like doing the right thing and think that there's no consequences behind it. Yeah, to a degree, you got the freedom to commit a crime, but also you don't have the freedom to stay free as a result of that. That is not a freedom system, period. Because I don't want to be in a circumstance where everybody and everything is just free to do whatever the fuck they want to do. I don't want to live in no system like that. I want to live in a system where there are rules and boundaries because I'm willing to forego some of my inclinations that might be barbaric for the sake of having a civilized society around me that I can believe in, that I can trust in, at least to some degree. Sir, when you get off of a Jewish network and on your own network and the internet is coming through some shit you built without nobody's help, and you didn't have to ask nobody to get it into anybody's telephone or television, like, then maybe you can talk to me when you on your own soil and not paying taxes on whatever the fuck you got to somebody else, or go to jail, risk going to jail for not paying the taxes. Like, don't talk to me about freedom being a choice under the circumstances. Shut your mouth, because all you're being is disrespectful, period, to a history that you yourself only have heard about and have never lived and don't know what the fuck it's like to even remotely make or not make decisions. I don't see DEI as having anything to do with Black people. In fact, Black people shouldn't even be a part of the conversation because when it comes to being qualified for a job, most Black people are overqualified. So I don't consider Black people in the conversation of DEI from that standpoint. If you're hiring for the most qualified people, Black people shouldn't have a problem. That's the slavery that I know about, that Kanye is talking about. But truth be told, he's not about to come out and say, yo, you a slave if you think wearing my clothing line and my shoes and wearing my shit is actually making you more purpose, let's say more worthy than what you already was without it. You a slave in your own mind, and that's the choice you making. Like, he ain't about to say that shit. So no, I don't care about him not being or being the DEI. As far as I'm concerned, he only here because of who he has been in association with and the fact that he's a Black man.
So, bottom line, DEI is affirmative action 2.0. Just something renamed, quota-based, not merit-based, not quota and merit-based, just quota-based. You got to have this many niggas, this many Mexicans, this many transgenders, this many, you know what I'm saying? Whatever you want to put the quality on. Except affirmative action was intended for Blacks, where DEI is for everybody. So, niggas ain't had no real issue with affirmative action. There was a handful of people who said, hey, man, I don't want to be hired just because I'm Black. That shit is degrading. It make me say I don't know the difference of whether I got hired because I'm qualified, they like me, they think I'm the best candidate, or they just putting me in here to fill quotas and they never gonna give me an opportunity to advance. Either way, you're talking about what a nigga giving you. And when you're talking about freedom, see, freedom is a different conversation than slavery. You know, because the reality is that if you wanted to counter the conversation of slavery being a choice, the question would be, is freedom a choice? And if freedom ain't a choice, then slavery can't be a choice. Because if you're not free, then technically speaking, you're a slave. So if you can't achieve some degree of freedom, then you definitely a slave. And the reality is freedom ain't based in one category. The question will be, what category of freedom are you talking about? Is this economic freedom? There's mental freedom? There's physical freedom? And you can have some, all, or none, or some combination thereof. And the reality is that, you know, sometimes we feel if we're not economically free, we can't be free. If we're not physically free, we can't be free. And the most enlightened understand that you don't need none of those if you can be mentally free. And you can't have none of those or appreciate none of those if you ain't mentally free. Mental freedom is the foundation of all freedom. You can walk out in the woods right now if civilization shut down and there wasn't nobody in this motherfucker, ain't no social security coming, ain't no grocery store to go to, ain't nobody coming to save you, ain't no police or no fire, ain't no nothing. Just you in the motherfucking elements. That's freedom, technically. Nobody's keeping you from doing anything. But what motherfuckers is actually saying is, I want to be free from responsibility. I want to be free from consequence. I want to be free from what's the word? Accountability. Oh, I love that word. I want to be free. What kind of free you want? You want to be free from bills? Nigga, whether a nigga send it to you in the mail or your stomach send it to you through your goddamn spinal cord to your brain to let you know you hungry, nigga, it's a debt to pay. Nigga, you gonna sweat from the goddamn top of your brow for the rest of your days. And a woman is gonna motherfucking ache and labor. That is what it is. You are already on the clock. Nobody's free. Free your mind. Once you can free your mind, technically, you can tolerate anything. That's how those slaves were able to make it through slavery, because they found a mental place they could be free. Even though they couldn't remove their chains or their conditions, they like, man, and this shit don't even matter. I'll be free when God come back to get me. That's how you can sing through this shit. It's a mental place you got to be. So the reality is that this equality that we so-called really want, that ain't the answer. Equality is not freedom. Equality is mean, nigga, we're gonna get the same shit or the same opportunity or the same punishment. That ain't what you want. Because trust me, the majority of white people, which America is comprised of, is not happy with the way shit is in America. The majority of white people are living on a poverty line or below, just like niggas. The majority of white people got a problem and want to be free. And they don't feel free, white or not. So what you want is not what you think you want, economic or otherwise.
Two things can be true at the same time.
So no, I'll be letting you like drop your mic. Why you trying to help me slap the shit out mine? You know what I'm saying? Hey, you know, I'll be trying to put some salt on your food and you be smacking my hand. So I'll be like letting you get your shit off now. Let me get mine.
Okay.
You know, the reality is, if white people don't feel free in America and you want equality, then you need to be a patriot. You need to be on the time that they on. You need to be out there on January 6th, sitting on Nancy Pelosi's desk. If that's what you want. But if that ain't what you equate freedom to, then you need to be more along the lines of what Kanye was talking about, or what I assume he was talking about, what I'm talking about, which is mental freedom. Because I don't got to leave America to be that free. I don't need a new job to be that free. I don't need a new bitch to be that free. Some niggas is enslaved to their relationship. It's a bitch and some kids driving you motherfucking insane. You a slave to your motherfucking household. Your kids pulling you this way, your old lady pulling you this way, or vice versa. And at the end of the day, whether you a child in this world, whether you are old, decrepit person, whether you homeless, sleeping in the street, some of the homeless people, the most freest people you ever gonna know. That's why they don't want your shit. They already free. They don't want you fucking up their vibe. And you over there having pity on them, and they got pity on you because you can't escape. You can't take a day off. You can't get away. Your phone ring, you gotta answer it. That's the real freedom, depending on who you ask. And that freedom is something that we all have to interpret individually. So to say what a nigga mean, whether it's slavery or freedom, those are things that can't be defined or constrained. Now, if you say something like chattel slavery, that has a specific reference and a specific time frame and a very, very specific conditions that it has to meet. But just the term freedom and or slavery, yeah, those are terms that can be used that don't belong to any race or group of people and that are defined by the user.
So here's the thing, right? I don't know if we're arguing terms, concepts, or whole systems. You see what I'm saying? And saying that these don't exist. You understand? Like when you say, well, feeling like you're a slave to whatever while somebody isn't. Well, okay, for instance, my children, and my parents, right? To some degree, I feel enslaved. I don't feel that I have a choice to do what I'm supposed to do in my position. But the reason why I feel, and I mean that word literally, I feel that I don't have a choice is because within myself, who I truly am is not a choice. I am a daughter that grew up under my father, and everything that happened within that made me who I am. That is an absolute right there. That's not a matter of choice. So therefore, because of that, I don't have a choice but to do what I'm supposed to do for those around me under that construct. So yes, I do feel, yes, I'm enslaved. That when you call on me, when my son called on me, when my dad called on me, and I'm tired and I don't feel like it, I still gotta move. I don't have a choice in that. Is that a bad thing? No, it's not. Right? Is it a bad thing to feel like, as an air traffic controller, I don't feel like going to work today, but I got to, because I don't have nobody that can, take my place, and 500 people might fucking drop out the sky if I don't. And I don't feel like it, but I got to, because I'm part of this world and people relying on me. I got to. Yes, I'm a slave to this. Is that such a bad thing? No, right? So this is why I said, what are we talking about? And again, it goes back to what I said. This man purposely didn't make himself clear. Purposely, because there's more money in wondering what Kanye really think than it is hearing him say some real shit. Period. That's all that it is. Now, to the point about homeless people are free. Homeless people are not free. They're just free from bills because they don't opt into having what the fuck bills give you. So they're free from bills, but they're not free. Any moment that somebody want to take and do anything to a homeless person, it can happen. Right now, as a business owner, if you work to get your business up, you got the freedom to make your own business and your own rules in your business. But if a homeless person say, listen, I'm free. I can sit here if I want to. I can come in here and do what I want to do. I'm homeless. I'm free. Now we got a problem. Who's freer? You see what I'm saying? So this is why when we say freedom is in your mind, I don't want to hear that shit. That shit ain't teaching me shit. That shit don't mean shit. Not to nobody. We all know that, which is what I was going to say when you were speaking about, well, if freedom is in the mind, again, as African Americans, or let's just say Black Americans for that sake, and niggers in your dialect, it's part of our culture to understand what's in your mind can't be taken from you. You're not actually anybody's slave. There's a system that you're in. You don't belong to nobody. Nobody can buy you. You understand? Like, that's part of our culture. So for him to put that out there as if it's not a part of our culture, as if we have not been doing that, as if we need to be lectured by him of all people, he was trying to be funny. I don't care what anybody say. He was trying to be funny because he was in front of a white audience that love them some nigga shit when they want to come down off their office buildings. You see what I'm saying? They love reveling in the gutter when it's convenient and washing off when they get back up. Again, this is not the freedom that he's talking about. Okay. So now that goes into your point about white people want to feel free in this country. Let's be clear about something. what they want to feel is not reality. White people are free in this world. They are as free as freedom can, the physics of freedom can get any human being. So if they want to feel more freer, it goes back to what you also said about the freedom to have no, to not be accountable for what you do. I want to be able to, hang somebody from a tree without being accountable. That's what I want. That's the freedom I want. So no, don't nobody give a damn about white people feel like they want to be free. So freedom we still don't have freedom because they feel like they don't have freedom. I don't give a good goddamn what they feel. I got just as much brain and mind as they have. They have freedom in every sense of the word that they can have it. Wanting more, now we're not talking about freedom. We're not talking about freedom. You want the freedom to be part of, Nambia. You understand that dumb shit about, boy love shit. Like you want the freedom to call yourself something that you're not and be respected and forced by somebody else to see you as something you are not. That's what white people call freedom. This is called delusion. So no, I don't want to hear Kanye talking about no goddamn freedom. Not at all. He is not one to talk about freedom. And even if he was, he just lost my fucking ears. Period.
Well, man, I'll take that as your closing statements, and I'll make these mine. You have a phrase you like to say. I don't like nobody playing in my face.
You don't like
Same way, some people don't like nobody playing on their phone. Play the radio, don't play me. The reality is this. The way I ended my last statement, which is slavery and freedom are terms that are personally defined. And no one has the right to say what the way you feel isn't justified and isn't your reality. Now they can say it ain't the reality, but they can't say it ain't your reality or that your feelings aren't valid or you shouldn't have them. You can feel however the fuck you want to feel about your situation, even if you're wrong about it. And right and wrong is a whole nother conversation that we're not going to have right now. So at the end of the day, I don't think Kanye was playing in your face or nobody else's. I don't think he was putting on a show for white folks. I don't even necessarily think it was premeditated. He might have thought about, am I going to say it or ain't I going to say it? But, yeah, does Kanye like the camera? Does he like the attention? Almost to like a sick point. Absolutely, he does. However, don't mean what he's trying to say or what he's trying to be known for isn't just as valid as his need for validation. So, at the end of the day, what I will say is that mental slavery is definitely a choice. And if that's what the brother Kanye meant by that, I believe that it was not intended to be incendiary, but inspirational. And despite who was in the, I heard him, and I'm sure there's a lot of other people who heard him to be incendiary, to get some attention, or whether his words transcended his intention. I think they landed just like the word land on all different kinds of soil. And some soil will accept those seeds and some will reject it. And just like the Art Institute of Chicago, even they have a choice. And you have the right to exercise your choices. If you choose not to, that's also a choice. And I am quite all right with the choices that I have in my plate in life. And as far as I'm concerned, doing pretty good. And I like the choices that I made and the choices of the people I choose to associate myself with, the people I choose to love, including yourself. And with that said, I'll be a slave for you. But outside of that, I'm a free man inside of this body or the next. All praises to the Most High. That's all I got.
I would come get you, but we at the end. I'm gonna get your butt later. Well, okay. Well, I thank you for taking me out into the deep water. I thank you for dropping all the mics you can possibly drop on a sister, but having to pick them up. I thank you for being who you are to me, even though you got a smart mouth. I like being your slave too. Okay.
It's good choice, right?
I know that, smarty pants. Okay, I know that.
I'm just making sure.
I know that, and I choose to love you every day.